I'm not a pessimist, and I see some optimism in what we have gained so far. I mean, of course, it's not really been a rosy story all along, but I would say that we have learned, and we are still learning. The fact that we have returned to June 12th is part of the learning.
Return?
Well, we had abandoned June 12th in terms of a national recognition. The fact that at the government level, some tokenism of recognition has been done, and I believe other contents will follow. So that is an admission. And the reason why we celebrate this is not just the recognition, but the admission that the will of the people cannot be suppressed forever. The will of the people expressed on June 12th, and equally expressed by the resistance that followed. Because it's a two-way process, the making of June 12th and the struggle to validate June 12th. These are the two currents of June 12th that have been in play for the 26 past years. Okay. The making of June 12th, for those of us who were in it at that time, then the struggle to validate it. Now, there are other 20 straight years without a coup. It's something to celebrate. I mean, no matter how zigzag it has been, with all the disappointments, other challenges, finances, budgets, security, and all of that, at least the representatives of the people are the ones in charge. That success so far for 20 years is what we're trying to establish. Beyond that, we now use that to effect certain corrections along the way. Now, if we have admitted that there's so much to learn from the June 12th, if we take farewell to poverty, all the issues listed there, including some areas that border on restructuring, are all there. May not have been addressed with the word restructuring, but it was to devolve government. Devolving governance is actually the meaning of restructuring. So that is also there. Once we can revisit the policies and programs in farewell to poverty, I would say that we'll go on a journey of a return to programmed policies that will take us far. Democracy has no end. It's a journey towards that keeps being defined by events, being defined by the time, being defined by circumstances. But so far, the 20 years is what, it's not El Dorado, but at least it's certainly not a return to jungle boots.
I'd like to get your thoughts on this, Senator, because, I mean, at that time, even to date, I'm sure copywriters looked at the copy. They looked at the commercials, the way you ran those commercials, what it meant to people, how people responded to it, how they followed up with the debate. So participation then and now was different. We saw that's what democracy is about, people following their own candidates, whatever message they had, how those messages resonated. Because even if you play them today, it still made sense to a lot of people. And you were DG of that campaign. Yes. So I'm just wondering, how do you see them then and the way we're going about it now? Do you see that level of participation and interest and ownership, as it were?
Well, there is, but with a qualitative difference. And the difference is that then we were more concerned with national issues. We were more concerned with policies and programs, very little about personalities, and almost zero about religious bigotry, almost. Otherwise, in fact, late Archbishop Idahosa led the Christian campaign. And one of their complaints was not that we had a Muslim ticket. They were not worried about that. They were worried about how to get out people to vote for Chibebike Abiola. That spirit is absent today. So there has been some denigration in the national outlook of even the political actors and the political parties. In our time, you could see that a candidate that is loved in Kano, comes from Ogun State, defeated his opponent in Kano in his ward, and then local government, and even the state. And the defeated candidate accepted and congratulated the winner. So these are trends that are fairly absent today. Today, everybody who loses election largely says that there was some rigging done, and in most cases, there may be some elements of that. And whoever wins sees it as some military conquest. We have to actually come round to the ideals of that time. And we, maybe because it was being modeled at the beginning by a government that did not show any interest in the direction of the campaign. It was much later when the presidential elections began to come that we saw all the key interests out. And now NEC had to be forced to do one thing or the other. But the initial days were really promising days. We had the Politburo, we had the campaign, we had MAMSA, we had NEC undisturbed. Professor Nwosu had everything he needed. Although the law says whatever the ruling council told him to do, he will have to do that. But he kept obeying the constitution that empowered NEC to take certain decisions until it got to a point where they had to say, look, this is a military government, we don't want this, we don't want that. So I think we need to return to that national outlook. We need to go back to, that's why I'm pleased that by going back to June 12, we don't stop there. It has not ended. We need to revisit the spirit of June 12. And what is that spirit? One, the will of the people should be respected and never taken away again from them forever. And two, the content of political promises and campaigns should also be implemented dutifully. And whatever content that was in the farewell to poverty, I'm sure a lot of it will be blended with what's happening today in order to produce a program that political actors elected on the basis of those programs are held to account. These are the hopes that we're looking forward to brighten the political future. And we should not forget, we're all political actors. No one is going to come from outside to correct these things.